and the Tottenham of Singapore, Hougang.
You were supporting Hougang?
I love my Hougang Hoolies, but they've gone very Spursy.
Oh, no.
Very Spursy.
Almost Evertonish.
No. Come on, Hoolies. Why are you gone so Spursy? All right. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
Yahoo editor Keong, and Lion City Sailors fan and Arsenal fan, Eddy.
Hello.
And we have to say before we kick off that Eddy is the first guest we've had on this podcast, no pressure to our other guests, to turn up with gifts.
Yeah.
He's kindly given the team these wonderful Singapore flags. This is a proper fan. You paid to get these done yourself, is that correct?
Yeah.
Just brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eddy. It's very kind.
Yeah.
Singapore, Majula Singapore. Now, getting onto our comments about local football.
Oh.
It's getting crazy, guys.
man.
And we thank you sincerely. All of my feeds now,
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're getting
comments
comments.
everywhere.
They're getting longer, they're getting more detailed, they're getting more nuanced. Absolutely fabulous. And just to add to that, have you noticed that they're going off on tangents, these little ecosystems, and they're having conversations within them, their own little break-off groups?
Brickbats, everything.
Yeah, so we're establishing these breakout rooms on our platform. So thank you again. Lots to get through, so let's kick off.
Okay. So last week we talked about Tampines Hub, the pitch. They got cut up badly by tournaments and obviously being overused. And then so, we're thinking what's the state of,
And they had to move a fixture.
Yeah, have to move a fixture. And then what's the state of Singapore's management of the pitches. So that got quite a lot of comments.
A lot.
Yeah, and then they're saying, so this Go Cards SG says, the Tampines Hub pitch fiasco highlights one paradox in the local sporting scene. Some facilities are overused, such as the Tampines Hub. Others are underused, like the Sports Hub Stadium. And then there's some that are never been used. What about the floating platform pitch and this and that? Definitely a management and deployment issue, and the sports athletes can't do about it. So this brought Wenlong, I think Wenlong 82 is one of our frequent commenters. So that brought him to for his own comments. And then he says, same grass pitch, albeit different location, but look at how many different stakeholders are owning the pitches. So for example, the OTH pitch is owned by People's Association. Because that's the whole complex is under them. But for the stadiums like Jalan Besar Stadium, Hougang Stadium, everything, those are owned by FAS.
Yeah.
And the normal, those state land, open air, grasslands, SLA. So different associations are owning different parts of this available land for football. And with that many different agencies looking after the grass field, would they have the same set of rules, requirements to practice with regards to facility maintenance and management, for example? So if I'm just a normal sportsman, I may end up having to go from different agencies just to get a green light to train and compete. That will be a turn-off factor for any budding sportsman.
This is such a brilliant observation. Both of them, from Go Cards SG and Wenlong 82. Thank you so much for your observations. Just brilliant. Let's take them one at a time. We'll do it in reverse order. Let's do the stakeholders first, because I think he makes such a good point. Overlapping stakeholders in Kiasu, Singapore, as you know, I know, we all know, is without doubt one of the biggest issues anyway, but particularly in the sports arena. I remember this because I did kayaking once, and I was out on the Kallang River there with the Kayaking Federation, and they were just telling me, if a tree branch falls, you know what I'm going to say, right? It depends where it lands on who has to deal with it. If it falls into the river, I think it's PUB because it's part of the water network. If it lands on the rocks, it could be
NEA.
It could be NEA, or it could be SLA or something.
Or NParks,
if it falls into the trees or the shrubbery, then it becomes NParks.
Yes.
So literally, it could fall 1 meter in a different direction, and it could be 3 different government agencies when all the kayakers want to do is clear the damn tree. That's all they want. Unfortunately, that is sometimes a stereotype, but it's not without merit in Singapore that we have this issue. And as they correctly pointed out, one football match can require the dealings and negotiations with 3 completely different stakeholders that often have different objectives. And that's where we have the problem.
I think the other problem is communication between these authorities. Sometimes they forgot, they don't do enough communication. Like I think that's what's the case of Tampines, the Tampines pitch. If the PA had known that, you know, the Geylang and Tampines have been using it so frequently, and then they got to add one more major JSSL tournament event into one of this. They run the risk of hurting the pitch, and they need to do maintenance, quick maintenance, or just they got to call off the
Or at
tournament.
least an inspection. I think it came to light that actually the party that discovered it wasn't like OTH themselves went down and say, oh guys, don't use it, it's bad. It was Geylang.
Yeah.
Geylang went for a training and then like, wait, we can't use this. And so to me that's a bit, I mean, that's definitely a learning point for OTH.
I agree. I agree completely. Communication is one. Good point. And the second point is, we touched on this a little bit last week, which when you've got competing, or not competing, but let's just say different stakeholders, what are the priorities?
Yeah.
What is this facility for? And that's why I think they made a particularly good point, Wenlong 82. Now, our Tampines Hub is owned by the People's Association. Their responsibility is to the community.
Right.
If you're saying the pitches are part of FAS and Active SG, their responsibilities are to the football clubs, but also to sports progress within the community. Competing already.
Yep.
Then you've got the third one, SLA, who are dealing with grass fields, state land, and so on. Again, competing objectives. What is this stadium for? Who is it for? Who does it serve? It's such a grey area, guys, just dealing with that.
Yeah.
That until that issue is solved, and I don't necessarily know the answer here, but until we make firm decisions, what or who is our Tampines Hub for? And we're going to have this decision all over again with Pongal when they finish their multi-purpose facility. Unless we make tough decisions, we're going to have this over and over again.
Yeah, and nobody wants this to happen. The pitches get bad. It's not fun for anybody. And with Singapore always have the reputation of good logistics. This is the bad name.
No, and I want to call out some comments actually that I saw online regarding this OTH fiasco. They said like, oh, so lame. They allowed the Frisbee tournament to go on. But I think it comes back to what you said, right? Competing priorities. Why is Frisbee lame? I mean,
Because
this
it's
is
for
as-
PA. Yeah.
This is as much an event that Singaporean citizens like.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you cannot be all elitist about it when it comes to sports
Yeah.
preferences. Some people in the community who pay their taxes love Frisbee more than they love football. They've got just as much right to pay and play their favourite sport
at the
at the
pitch.
facility
Yeah.
that their tax dollars have paid for
Yeah.
as a footballer. Because again, what are the priorities here? If the stadium is for the community, you can't complain about Frisbee.
Yeah.
If the stadium is purely for football, which it isn't,
you can't-
then you can't have the Frisbee. So
So does it mean that Tampines and Geylang have to move out of OTH?
I don't know, man. I think Lion City Sailors are the only ones who have a permanent solution here. But we'll
You
get
should
to
Own
that.
You
facilities.
should just build a training center. Come on, guys.
That's
It's not
right,
that hard.
There's enough money, man.
But here's the one final broader point about this is, it struck me again last weekend because my daughter has really got into netball now. Just finding a green space to play anywhere is so much harder than it was 25 years ago.
Obviously.
I don't want to sound like a tired old uncle, but it's true. When I came to Singapore in 96, I could find green spaces at Bishan Park, in Toa Payoh, you name it, you could find it. It's harder than ever now. And I don't want to start getting in a political argument about end parks, planting tree saplings. That's a whole different environmental objective. And it's a laudable one. But try and find a square, open space of any kind of distance the size of this studio to throw a Frisbee or to throw a netball or to kick a football. It's harder than ever.
Yeah.
And that comes back to the point, where can kids, teenagers, adults, families even play without paying? And then I'm back to my earlier argument, state land, which ties in with stakeholders, right? We still have a sizable amount of state land around the island. And I've queried this, I have asked about it, and they say, but the trouble with state land, if you open it up to let people play sports, you've got to worry about drainage, you've got to worry about maintenance, you've got to worry about safety, and there's a cost factor involved to all of this. To which I would say, there's also a cost factor to having a diabetes crisis, right? And a bad health crisis. If kids don't play, if people haven't got a place to play, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We still have spaces in Singapore, but we don't let people play on them.
Yeah, can I just pick up on that point?
Yep.
I think you're exactly right. So now I'm working adult, right? And if I want to play 5v5 football with my friends, I can because I can afford it. It's 2 hours for $180.
That's a lot, man. That's
Right?
a lot.
I can afford it. My friends can afford it. The 10 of us
together?
can easily fork out $18 each.
Yep.
The private operator doesn't care. But if we are children
Yeah.
or like 14-year-olds, how are we going to afford $180?
$18. Yeah.
Right? We're not going to be able to afford that more than once a week for sure. Right? Even if we save all our pocket money from recess and whatnot. So
100%.
then, and so yeah, that really ties into your point. Like, how do they play? Where do they play? They can't play.
It's harder than ever. And it will tie nicely with our next point. I'm not just saying it because you're here, but without the likes of Lion City Sailors and other academies, where does a Nathan Mao even play? Before we argue about was he too young or 15, too young, too early, a gimmick, or at least he's playing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not many Sec 3 kids in Singapore who've even got a space beyond their school field, which is only during school hours, where they can even play in the first place.
Right.
Which ties in nicely to one of the most popular subjects in the last few weeks, Nathan Mao.
Nathan Mao. So James Harden said, now Nathan Mao is guided in a path of low-paying career in Singapore football due to NS blocking any chance of overseas success. Then you got this guy who replied, say, your head lah, all Singapore national team earn 5,000 above. Stop with this mindset lah. Honestly, you're living under a rock.
It keeps going. It keeps going.
Jamal Jackson say, haha, 5K? In Europe, players earn millions. Then James Harden say, imagine being a national team athlete and only earning above 5K. And what about the players that are in the national team? No future. I mean,
wow. Well, you're a working football mad Singaporean. What do you think about that before we
A lot
come
of
in?
interesting points here, actually. A lot of interesting points. And I want to pick on James Harden, who said that Nathan Mao is guided to a path of low-paying career in Singapore football due to NS blocking any real. Do you feel like actually he says that with a lot of love? I don't know about you guys, but I feel that he's saying it from actually someone who loves football.
Yeah, I
And
think all these people love football. No issue there.
So, I mean, it's tough love kind of statement. I think he's just looking at how NS has deprived us of Harry Birdwhistle, deprived us of Ben Davis and the like. So, I mean, NS, it's worthy of its own 2-hour show.
We'll
So
get to that.
I won't delve
We'll get
into
to
that.
that.
But I really think that, people, these misguided concepts like 5K in Europe players earn millions. Yes, they do,
no,
but I mean,
only at the top leagues.
yeah, League 2. How about
correct.
League 2 in the
Yeah.
League 2 in UK?
100%.
They're earning like League 2 is what, £1,000 per week?
They're making a
Yeah.
huge deal about the fact that this guy, Paul Mullin, I think his name is, who plays for Wrexham. Wrexham just got promoted. They're the highest paid players in that league's history. He gets £5,000 a week. Now, it's very good money, don't get me wrong. But that's the salary of the most profitable, highest paid team that's run by 2 Hollywood superstars. And it's still only £5,000. It's a good salary, but I don't think it's anywhere near the kind of money that these guys think it is. And no disrespect to the Singapore Premier League, the NFL and Wrexham are playing at a much higher standard than the Premier League currently. So it's a bit of a...
I mean, everybody's trying to compare with this English Premier League, Spanish Premier League. These are the top elite leagues which pay the highest for the top players.
Yes.
And we are nowhere near it. And then
Why do you think we even have European players in our
Yeah,
league?
that's why.
They are here because they can't earn that money back
Correct.
home.
yeah,
correct.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go to watch a SPL
Correct,
match.
100%. There's 2 things here. First one, you guys articulated it perfectly. It's a misnomer that everybody earns millions and millions of pounds.
No.
Yes, at the apex of the pyramid, they do. But like any other industry around here in Robinson Road, your CEOs earn too much money and the youngest people in the company earn not enough money. It's capitalism, it's wrong, but it's the reality.
But it's still got people working that job.
Correct.
Exactly.
That brings me to the second point, which has never really been touched upon, which is when we obsess over the lack of money that Singaporean footballers earn. Oh, why go into football, no money? Do you think that in every other industry, you walk out of school or walk out of university and into a 5K job? You don't. My first job in Singapore was, I'm happy to say it, was 1,008 a month. That was my first job in Singapore, right? Now it's 1,009, right? So, but it's 1,008. But we still got this idea that, if you go to football, you're only going to earn 2K or 3K. Well, how? But that's not a million miles away from most
what?
jobs that are not the obvious medicines, high-end law, engineering. I would say most industries, first job, first salary, graduate or non-graduate, is not a million miles away from a decent footballer. But for some reason, we obsess over the low salaries here, but don't think about the low salaries elsewhere. It's not that low.
And I'll say this, I think it's a bit one-track mind to say that once you pick football, that's it for life. I don't think so, I think actually, if you're disciplined enough, you can still study, you can still juggle both your studies and your football, especially in Singapore, where it's not like in the UK where they ask you to uproot and like live in the Arsenal Academy or something. They're not asking you to do that. They're asking you to put in 5 days of training a week. Is it tough? Yes. But why is it ever got to be easy? You want to be a footballer, you got to put in the hard hours.
Correct, 100%.
And if you want to still secure your financial pathway, then put in more hard work to study hard as well.
Could not agree more.
Just do both. I mean,
could not agree more.
And the financial path is there's so many things you can do nowadays. Look at Jacob Mahler, for example. Good footballer, got injured, but at the same time he's doing modeling stuff. Yeah, he's good looking, but surely it's also because he's media savvy, right?
Yeah.
So if you pick up all these other skills, then you're not limiting yourself to just that 5K paycheck.
Correct, 100%.
And not that 5K is like terrible salary anyway.
Yeah.
The possibilities are limitless if it's truly your passion. So I hope the young kids who watch this show, if it's truly your passion, just go for it, man.
And just to add to that,
just work hard.
100%. So Ray Yong said something very similar last week. Look, if you go into it, heck, Kerala, as he said, eat the roti prata, don't train properly, don't eat healthy, you are not going to earn much money. You are going to earn 1K, 2K, and it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you push yourself, if you really strive, you can earn 5 figures a month quite comfortably in the Singapore Premier League. Yes, if you reach international level, you'll earn even more. Yep. But a high-end elite footballer in Singapore football at the apex can earn 5 figures a month quite comfortably, way above the national average. Or you could just sit back, moan on Facebook, heck, Kerala, watch your EPL, right? But you can't, like any other industry, there's a pyramid, you work hard, you get to the top.
And I would say actually, right, in the pyramid, the SPL is probably here for you. If you give it a good go, you can go J-League, K-League.
Yeah.
Why limit yourself to Singapore?
Exactly.
But you have to give it a good go.
Thailand, you can go Thailand. That's the nearest league which is reputable.
Exactly.
Or even
Ryan Stewart, which has done so, gone
or
to
even
Malaysia.
They spend so much money on their players there in Malaysia. So there really are opportunities in the region.
Exactly. And if you want to be super kiasu, you can say that football is one of the few industries where the skills are equally transferable in any culture, race, country, nationality, language in the world. Unlike others, it doesn't matter about language barrier or cultural barrier. The skills are instantly transferable to any football pitch on the planet. So it's a bit of a nonsense. But let us know what you think about the whole footballers. Should they be paid more or less or whatever? Let's get to the one now race. The Chinese footballers not playing enough in Singapore. We got 50,000 views on
Facebook, 48,000 on Facebook, 21,000 on TikTok.
So we got combine it all to more than 100,000. Plus we got over 200-300 comments on this. Just on one clip. So Ray Yong said it is an issue in Singapore that we do not have enough Chinese representation. At international level and just generally within Singapore football, we got a lot of comments.
Yeah, and just picking up one, and this is a pretty good one. It's not here. So, the Ritz one say this guy has a point. Speaking from a perspective of a Malay schoolboy player from primary school to uni days, there were many strong, fast, fit, technically gifted Chinese and Indian footballers, even in branded JCs. I would dare say they can be more disciplined or professional if they can go on to play into their 20s and 30s. The reason they don't see it as a career is because the dismal local football scene support for ages. SG football will never be like Thailand, for example, if the best from all races do not pursue football. Football needs the best 17, 18 players in the country to succeed, unlike athletics or swimming. The hunger and mindset is just not there for Singapore football. Every man's for himself after NS, and that usually means making money first to survive or chase the atas dream.
Beautifully put. Yeah. Beautiful comment. Really well put. Okay, guys, what do we think?
So there's some truth in it, obviously. I mean, I'm from the majority race, obviously, I feel I do notice there's still has that huge reservation to let the sons and to play in football and to make a career in football. There's always that thing. But at the same time, I mean, you got to take that step. You can't. I seeing the comments a lot of saying blame the football association for not getting the Chinese the representation, but it's the Chinese community who has to change also. It takes two hands to clap. You need to they need to also view football as a viable career for their kids. Yeah, otherwise it's tough.
So, I mean, just now I touched on the individual approach to football as a career, right? But I feel also this is where government/corporates have to come in.
Yep.
And do you want it to be a slow upward trajectory, or do you want to push it along? So I think an interesting part from that long comment was that the person said SG football is not like Thailand. But it wasn't too long ago when top Thai stars played in the S-League.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So what happened then? And I can tell you, it was just the corporates. Look at Buriram, right?
Yeah.
Buriram, for example, a sleepy town with nothing in it. It's just agriculture. But then some rich guy decided to build a stadium, build 2 stadiums, build a motorway, build everything, turn it into a sports hub of sorts. Pun not intended. But basically, when all the government and the corporates come in together, then you can see a boom, a boost, right? And when that happens, then you get your other... I'm not too hung up about the race thing. I think Soryong makes a great point about it's just a numbers game. Like, you're limiting yourself if you just go with...
That's all it is. That's all it
right?
is. You have to take emotion, and it's a very sensitive issue, but you have to take it out of the equation and just be dispassionate and say, we need that 70%. That's it. You're limiting your talent pool. That's all we're saying.
So once the scene becomes a bit more vibrant, then I think it's a natural thing. It will happen.
Yeah.
People will say, yeah, why not? Just go and do it. It's not a vibrant scene. Even if you get an ACL injury, God forbid, you can be a physio. The scene is quite vibrant. There will be jobs for you.
Yeah.
And just to add to that finally, great points from both of you. And that's the point. When it comes to race and NS, we just have to talk about it as adults, like adults, and don't just file it away in a box marked too hard, too sensitive. Yeah. Otherwise, you solve nothing. You become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You solve nothing.
You can see from the hundreds of comments, they understand that this is the problem with Singapore.
Yeah.
There's this ongoing race, this representation problem with our football team. Yeah. And obviously it's hard to come out with a solution. It's never easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complication. But at least talk about it. We find,
as Eddy says, talk about
debate,
it. You can bring back the corporates. Use Thailand as an example. Case studies. Talk about it. Good stuff. But let us know, before we wrap up the Singapore Premier League, let us know what you think about these issues. Send all of your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Brilliant. And we'll finish off by doing a wrap-up of the first round of fixtures of the Singapore Premier League. They have now been concluded. And the Tottenham of Singapore, Hougang.
You were supporting Hougang?
I love our Hougang Hoolies, but they've gone very Spursy.
Oh, no.
Very Spursy.
Almost Evertonish.
No. Come on, Hoolies. Why are you gone so Spursy? All right, Eddy, man on the ground. Let's do Hougang first, and then we'll get to Lion City Sailors. What's your take?
So the Hougang and Tottenham do have something in common, I think. They have been laughed at by all the teams.
And they like sacking their managers.
Sacking the managers. For those, I mean, I hope you're watching this, but he's a real gentleman.
He's a good guy, He's a good guy.
Spoken to him. Fantastic guy. I think one other similarity they both have is that they both lost someone very crucial to their midfield. So Spurs, before their downturn, they had Bentancur.
Yeah, injured. Yeah.
Shadan Sulaiman has not featured for Hougang this season, and I'm sure if he were there, they would have won a few more wins for sure. Sympathy, of course, to the Hougang Hools, but I love seeing them down in the bottom. So it's just a rivalry thing between Home United and Hougang United in the past. I love seeing them there. But I mean, they have not performed well at all this season.
How about your team?
I just want to, as someone who has seen the volatile Hougang Hools in action, we don't necessarily concur with what he's just said. I need to get home safely. No, we love the Hougang boys. All right, what's happening with LCS?
LCS, I mean, I think if we had sum it up in one sentence, not ideal, but no fatal blow yet. Yeah, we're still within touching distance. Within touching distance, we're third. Tampines has played better football overall, which is kudos to them. But we're still within touching distance, and I hope that we can come back stronger.
All right, wrap it up. Give us a little prediction. We're now one round of fixtures in. Are you still feeling confident? Is a title challenge still on the cards? What do you think?
I think it's still on.
Still on.
I think it's still on. Albirex,
4 points away
obviously.
only,
Yeah.
Albirex is Albirex. They're fantastic. They have a new guy who looks like a clone of Mitoma, which is of course bad for us. But
Yeah.
But when I said title challenge, I was actually talking about Hougang. So we're not confident about Hougang.
Tampines. For me,
Tampines are
this
good.
isn't about Tampines.
All right, so what are you still sticking with Tampines?
I think that I was feeling that they are the team of that round. They're still unbeaten after eight or nine matches. Eight matches. And I know Faris Ramli got a second win.
I'm so happy for him.
So happy for him. So
He's
I mean,
great gentleman, and also, he still talks to us LCS fans very
Yeah.
nicely and everything. So it's great for him.
yeah, I think they have been the team of that round and the player of that round. So for me, I hope it continues. I doubt so. They feel a bit like Arsenal. You know, they are overachieving right now. Everybody's playing at 7 or 8 out of 10.
They almost made me curse on that.
Not cursing. Right, we've got to wrap this up. So you're going to be romantic. Stick with Tampines.
Tampines, man.
You're going to stick with LCS. I'll go with Hougang. No. I'll go. All right, last one. Who do you think is going to win the Singapore Premier League title after the first round of fixtures? All your comments too.
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_NY on Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Brilliant. Thanks, Eddie, again for coming on.
Yeah.
You're
Absolutely fantastic.
Always fantastic having you.
Yeah, it's great having you on. And thank you as always for listening and watching. Do keep your comments coming. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you all next week when we can laugh again at Tottenham.
Hey.
Take care. See you soon.